Okay. If you would, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have the minutes from the February 8th regular meeting. We have had a chance to take a look at these. Anybody have any questions? Changes? So a motion to approve the minutes as presented. So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And under fiscal business, we have the fiscal officer's report.
The board's received copies of the monthly revenue and appropriation and fund status reports. And just to read into the record, we have $10,835,230.42 in our investment and checking account. And we will be receiving our first part of the first half settlement on Friday. So we're in good shape without having to get into investments.
Okay. And we also have the current bills to pay. We have had a chance to take a look at the bills. If I have any questions, is there a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Anything else at this time? Lynn?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Linda, there is a resolution to be added to appropriate some money to the vending fund. I don't know if you want to
You
do
wanna
this
do
now.
that? It's at the end.
That's,
So you want to add it to the agenda now? Is that what you're thinking?
you can, I just didn't want to gloss over its
I
fiscal.
think-
4806.
It's 4806, we can just revisit at the end. It's
Yeah,
up to you,
let's-
Mr. Wade. You want
yeah,
to add
let's-
it to the agenda?
Yeah, let's put it 4806. Is there a motion to add 4806 under staff updates? So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Thank you. Okay, special activity, anything else, Linda?
No, sir.
Under special activities, we have a probationary hire recommendation, Annette E. Davis, a probationary full-time fire clerk, starting February 16th. Is there a motion to offer to hire probationary full-time clerk Annette Davis?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Annette, if you would come forward, please. If you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Annette Davis,
do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
required as a member of the Clearcreek Fire District
required as a member of the Clearcreek Fire District
of Clearcreek Township, Warren County, State of Ohio.
of Clearcreek Township, State of Ohio, Warren County, State of Ohio,
Very good. To which office I have been appointed
to which office I have been appointed
according to the law and the best of my ability
according to the law and the best of my ability
during my continuance in office.
during my continuance in office.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are so thrilled to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, guys. Okay, and anything under unfinished business at this time?
No, sir.
Okay. Under new business, we have draft resolution 4803, a resolution amending Clearcreek Township employee handbook reimbursement section. Okay, want to tell us about this?
This has been a few months in the making, and I brought it up before the meeting, and had first gotten the idea when I was talking to Chris Thompson, and she suggested that they would, when they would travel, their meal reimbursement could be done ahead of time, based on a certain schedule. They use a GSA schedule. They don't set a different rate, they just follow the GSA outline reimbursement.
GSA is?
Government Services Administration, it's the federal designation of what reimbursement rates are good for their employees.
Okay.
So I'd done it in the past where you could get a check ahead of travel, hadn't contemplated here, dealt with a few reimbursements, and it was a little bit employees don't travel that much, so it seems, okay, if we could do this properly where all the same protocols, you know, if you're getting a meal as part of a seminar, you carve that out and you don't request that ahead of time. That would just make it easier in the end and take less time, where people travel maybe once a year in a lot of instances. And it takes them an hour or two to get all this stuff together, and it's not human nature to take these things to a piece of paper and put them all down. I talked to Brian about doing this, where you could get a check ahead of time for the meals, and then it's up to you to stay within that limit. If a meal costs more, that's for your business, you can't get any more than you already got. He said it was appropriate, townships can do it, like Springboro has been doing it. So I drafted, and Brian's reviewed a reimbursement section that would allow an employee to get a check ahead of time for their meals based on a submitted schedule, as they would do now. And so that's what the revision is about in our reimbursement section of the handbook.
Well, there certainly is some concern about, I know it makes it easy, I get that, it does.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know it makes it easier. Of course, on the same side, I don't think that big adults, large adults in this business should have that much trouble keeping track of receipts, but, you know, if you're dealing in the private sector, you have to do that and make sure you get the right, names of your clients on there, or if you get audited, the IRS is not going to allow that stuff, so. You know, when I have salespeople that do that, I mean, that's just what they have to do, or I'm not paying them, so. Because if I can't use it as an expense, but I think we have such little of that here, you know, I don't know that it's a great big deal. Then, you know, always the questions of paying, you know, what are they gonna use it for, so on and so forth. You know, I can get past that, just to say that they go to their seminar and they don't eat all day and they just drink beer all night. Well, you know what, if they're during working hours, I think they're violating their rules as a police officer or a firefighter anyway. After working hours, I guess they can drink beer if they want, and if they choose, if we pay them, and I suppose they could use that money for that. You know, I got to think too that I know we have good responsible people in the spots that are gonna be in a situation where they'll be using this stuff. They're going to classes, you know, they're going to seminars, they're doing whatever that's good for them in the department. That's why they're out there doing that. So I'm not worried about them too much. You know, I think we can catch some criticism for that, but I think we can also say, you know, in the long run, it makes bookkeeping so much easier, and time spent in saving money also. So there's some merit to be able to answer those, or some easy merit in my opinion, being able to answer some of those criticisms if we get it. But you know, how much do we reimburse a year? Do we reimburse $5,000?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, for meals?
Easily.
Well,
For
I don't know
travel
about on
expenses.
meals, yeah.
For travel expenses.
Well, no, we're not, yeah, but we're not gonna, well, let me ask this question. We're not paying ahead for a hotel room?
Yes, we do, all the time.
We do that now?
Mhm.
Okay, so we're just.
But on a hotel room, you're paying, first off, we
We
give
didn't know
every
what it is.
department head a credit card.
Right.
So they're usually putting this on a credit card. So it's not like I'm cutting a check that could be lost or stolen or whatever.
Mhm.
Since you brought up bookkeeping, and I already warned you guys that I was gonna give my 2 cents on it, absolutely, this is an easier thing for my office, and, as far as cost savings for my office, there is no cost saving to my office, one way or the other. Is it easier? Absolutely. My only concern is, you know, as a business Mr. Wade, you said that you would not reimburse your employees, but, I think as government, we have to be held to a higher standard even than your business, and the transparency issue just completely disappears when you're cutting somebody a check. I'm not worried about somebody buying a sweatshirt with their money or buying alcohol or whatever. It's not about that to me. It's about, they're allowed up to $46 a day for reimbursement of food. That doesn't mean they have to spend $46. We're going into this with the assumption that you're gonna spend at least $46. when I go to conferences, you know, for this office, I'm going to one in March, you know, the breakfast and lunch are covered. I understand you can carve that out, but I'm not gonna spend $22 at night on dinner. I mean, typically, when you go to these things, you go to Chipotle, take it back to a hotel room, that's what I do. But I don't wanna assume everybody does what I do. But I think, anytime you're making assumptions, you're opening yourself up for something that I don't think this township needs to be opening itself up to.
Well, I don't think that is something that could happen, I can't argue with that. However, I don't think there's anything that the auditor's going to get on us about, do you?
Yeah, I do.
You think,
Yeah,
well,
well,
what are they doing to all the other political subdivisions?
I'm not responsible for them. I'm
No,
not
I
responsible.
get that, but if it was bad, we'd be.
Oh,
hearing
please
about it.
understand, if it was bad, Brian wouldn't be recommending it.
Yeah.
I'm not, from that instant,
Yeah.
but I mean, we'll probably get put into, you know, the letter. We won't get dinged as in, you know, but we'll probably get a recommendation letter, because it's certainly not best practices to ever be writing a check to somebody, not knowing what they're gonna be spending it on.
Okay, that's a fair point.
Like I said, it took a couple months, once the idea got in my head to streamline this in this fashion, to flush it out, talk to Brian, make sure the per diem ahead of time was, you know, legally okay and not gonna create an issue. And after I had to spend some time helping people sort theirs out and saw them spend the time, I thought, okay, if you break me down to an hourly rate, I'm $50 plus an hour. And so when I spend an hour or two to help somebody, that's $100, and by the time we save a few bucks by reimbursing rather than doing the ahead of time, it's like, well, for the little bit we travel and for the amount of time it takes people to mess with these coming back, and it's okay to do it this way, that's why I would prefer to see this in place, and somebody has the option to request a per diem check or get reimbursed after the fact. The $46 is a reasonable amount. There's some that do 65, there's some that do 50, there's one that does 40. So 46 is kind of in the middle to the lower side of what you have available. So it's not like somebody's gonna get rich
No.
not eating and keeping the $46.
What's the GSA rate, do you know?
It was a little more complicated. It was north of $50, but the first day and the last day were a percent, and it slid. It was like, all right.
It's government.
I thought I might use it, and I'm like,
There's a bag of peanuts on the plane, so.
The only thing I would say to what Jack said, and I agree with him totally, and Jack and I had an email conversation today about it. I have full faith and trust in what he's doing. Don't question that at all. My only concern is, we're all professionals here. Everybody that works here is a professional. I think we'd all agree with that. And if you can't get a receipt that itemizes out what your lunch is, and the fact that our administrator even has to look at it other than to sign off on it, doesn't speak very highly of the professionals, because it's not hard to get a receipt, and then you staple it to your requisition. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it.
it isn't that tough, but if it's not something you do routinely, it's.
But if you know you're
It
going
is.
out,
It
it's
is.
not that tough.
I'm telling you, every time I travel, I have to stop, and it takes me extra time.
I understand
I've been
that.
there, done that.
My daughter, I send her to the grocery store all the time. She doesn't get reimbursed unless she brings the receipt home. And she
Yeah,
can't bring the
well,
credit card receipt. She has to bring the receipt home. Because I take off her makeup and stuff.
I'm
It's
gonna jump in here and say it's not quite that simple, because I think I probably travel as much or more than anybody
We
in this
travel
room.
way more than everybody else.
Sometimes it's demanding to get an itemized receipt from a restaurant. I can vouch for that times 1,000. Past that, this is one of those moments kind of, I feel like we've spent more time on this than we're gonna save or spend, because of the limited amount of travel that we have, so,
And I told Jack, if you guys decide to go ahead with this, I'm absolutely fine
Well,
with it. Absolutely fine.
I look at it, you know, we had this discussion 3 years ago,
Yes, we
when
did.
we raised the rate that we were doing at that time. I came in with documented information about the county, the state, and the federal government, and what they did, and we didn't get there. I know, from my perspective,
and I do, obviously, I think we all trust our employees to do the right thing. I think this is a convenience issue for everybody involved. I don't think it's anything that can be abused. It's very clearly outlined in most of the convention and meeting documents that we get, what's free and what's not. We put our employees out to go do some of these things. We take them away from their families. I don't think it's too much to ask to be able to say, here's your $46 because you're not getting any meals that day. And we're putting you in downtown Columbus, which, you're right, Linda, if that's what you do at meetings, I go out for a bigger dinner personally. I'm not saying they can go out to Morton's on $46, that's not gonna happen. But generally, my guess is they spend more than 46 if they're buying 3 meals a day on their own in those types of facilities because of what's available to them. You don't jump in your car in downtown Columbus and go run through McDonald's. You tend to eat what's there. And as we all know, most of those places are inflated because they know they have you and they can charge you more. That's my perspective on it. It makes sense to me. It also makes sense that that we can adjust it. If they do have free breakfast every morning or whatever it might be, or the lunches are sponsored by whoever, when it comes to and I honestly don't have much information on the meetings they do attend. I do know where some of them are, and I do travel in those same places, and it does become difficult. I used the story about Nike putting us in the Hard Rock Hotel for $400 a night, and we had a $65 a day per diem, and the cheapest thing on the menu was a grilled chicken Caesar salad for $19, and that's before tax and tip, and you add in an iced tea, and you do those things, and it's like, you know, so in that case, Nike was putting us in a place where we could spend our per diem without even blinking. I don't worry about transparency in this situation either. I think we're overthinking that. That's my personal opinion. Other jurisdictions do it without any problems. The auditors, you know, I'm sure have run across this before, or like you said, he wouldn't be recommending that. That's why we
The auditor,
pay him so
our
much.
county auditor would not accept this at all. I mean,
I'm talking about the state auditor.
Oh, the state auditor, yeah, I don't know, I have
So,
not run this by the state, I
I'm
know
not-
the county auditor.
No, but
There are auditors bulletins that talk about per diem reimbursements, so the state auditor has
Brian would know way more about that than I would.
AOS bulletins on that. I think they're okay with
Yeah,
it. But I've also
so-
seen Attorney General's opinions.
Okay.
Authorized.
Yeah. So, that's,
I don't think any of us think that it's not legal. We all
Yeah, I
think
just-
it's legal, whether it's best practice or not, is what we're arguing about.
yeah, and for me, I look at it, and 46 is low, and I expressed my opinion back then, and I stand by it, so, but that's fine. I'm not trying to dip into the coffers any more than we already are, so.
We keep saying we don't do it very often. How often, how many meals are we talking, or how many days are we talking about?
Well, for myself, I'll probably do 3 out-of-town trips in a year. Police, you just had 3 guys go.
Every pay period we have, every time you guys sign off on a bill, you sign off on some reimbursement of some kind.
Yeah, the police,
So
you
every
probably,
26,
For me,
you probably have
For me,
Yeah.
5-6 times where people travel.
yeah, fire
That's-
never has.
all
It's just
included.
police and-
Fire's a little bit more.
No, fire's less. They
Fire's
usually,
less.
fire usually has, when they go to conferences, you pay for a meal ticket with fire in advance.
Yeah, there's a little more
Depending on-
structure in that
Yeah.
Depending on
regard.
what it is.
That's typically.
Yeah, so it's,
100 days a year, probably 100.
well, yeah, to add up the days, I wouldn't hazard a guess, but
I don't either.
it's maybe 10 between me and the police and road and planning, and I couldn't guess on fire, so it's not a big number.
Yeah, I don't ever remember ever doing one for Jeff or for road maintenance. It doesn't happen very often.
I've been here 6 years and never used to, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, it happens obviously in a, it's, you're off doing training, it's gonna happen. So certainly, well, that every pay period could be 1 time or 10 times. a
Yeah,
period,
I don't,
Doesn't matter. I don't think ours is abused, so I'm not worried about that.
no, and I don't think anybody has ever abused the reimbursement program we've had.
I'm sure that we've never heard about it, that's for sure. Okay, if no further discussion, is there a motion to approve or deny 4804? Oh, that's not it. It's 4803.
4803.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw? You only got two choices. I think you should get three.
She had it.
Sorry.
I'll go nay this time.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the help, though.
Yeah, anytime.
That's a first.
Just not used to government officials thinking for a moment.
The next item is
Sorry.
4804, resolution authorizing the administrator to enter into the master service agreement with Dynergy
Dynegy, yeah.
Energy Services.
Let me give you a preface to both this resolution and the next one. Brian had asked me a question, and I realized I might not have spelled it out clear enough. The 4805, which is your next resolution, that is our electric supply here for our buildings. It's got nothing to do with this resolution, but it's the same entity. It used to be Duke Retail. So this first one, 4804, is what they call a master service agreement. Dynegy, we would engage them to get us through the paperwork process being certified. There's language in here about they would be our electric supplier unless we find a price we like better. Then we can go with a different supplier. So basically, that's the way they do these things. They're willing to do the legwork, trusting that they'll get us the best price at the end of the day. So this engages them to do the paperwork and gives us an out if when we get prices about a month from now, we got a lower price, we can switch.
Okay. Very good. Anybody have any questions about these? I know we know what's going on, and this is the formality of it that puts it into the record, so.
Yeah, this does not include a price or rate to come. Like I said, we'll get like a day or two to give them a go or no go on a rate and stuff. So this doesn't include a rate. That's still to come in a month or so.
Yeah, this has to go to the PUCO and get approved by them, and then it comes back to us.
They
move on to the rating.
Request lists for all the eligible customers, and they have to file the paperwork and do a few other things that we need their help doing for sure.
I don't think I told you, but several people that work for me that live in the city, they received, when they were, before the vote, they received the advertisement. Liz did, Candy did, they received the advertisement to vote for it. So I guess they might want to check their list on who they are sending stuff to, even, and who's on their list when they have to present that.
You didn't get one?
I did, but I don't live in the city.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
The energy, the list they will generate, for these users will be very specific. It comes from the utility.
Okay.
And it's gotta be DP&L territory as well as Duke territory. Where the other one was more of a political campaign piece, and it wouldn't be they wouldn't spend the time picking out,
Okay.
the city ones, because it's hard to discern.
Not just not worried
Yeah,
about it. Okay.
yeah, but they literally, I have to authorize them to get the list from Duke and get the list from DP&L as the township's manager of the aggregation program. So they have to get permission, and then they get the list. It's all, they'll be spot on with who the customers are.
Okay, good.
Are you gonna get us something, I was just thinking, we're probably all gonna get questions about this, when they start sending out that postcard to people, that we can tell them that if your electric bill is normally $300, it's gonna reduce it to $285. Are we gonna have any figures that we'll be able to give, because we're gonna get asked, should I go with this, or should I not, or, so that we can tell
Unfortunately,
people?
Unfortunately, your best option is to tell them to call me, because it's not that
No
simple.
problem.
I'm okay with that. Well, I mean, because
Like
I'm
a-
gonna call you then, because I'm gonna wanna
Well,
know, should I
you-
switch or
it's-
should I not?
Well,
You
it's-
know?
You can't, I need your bill to tell you how it'll affect you, and that's,
Matters who you're buying it from now.
I'm just
What-
wondering if
yeah.
there's a cheat sheet, because you're gonna get.
The research I've done is that it's gonna save us somewhere between 7 and 11%. Does that sound right? And we're not gonna hold your feet to this, but
it depends
they
what
like
the
to say.
rate is. Do you know what you're paying now?
not off the top of my head, but when I did the research, that's what I looked at.
Could
So,
it cost more at any point, I guess is my question, by switching?
will it cost more?
Could it cost more to go to the aggregation from whatever you're paying today? Or is it, literally, you need to look at the bill to answer that question?
No, I shouldn't need to look at the bill. We're gonna pay, let's say we're gonna pay 5.85 cents a kilowatt hour. You're probably, if you're in Duke, you're probably at 6.2 or
2.5,
6.3.
That's about, I think mine's 6.25.
So if you use 1,000 kilowatt hours, that's 1,000 times 0.45, cents, whatever that equals. So it's, what is that, 450 you'd save that month? So that's, I need to have your bill and see how many kilowatt hours you use, and
I guess I was looking for something a lot more generic. I don't care how much I'm gonna save, as long as you
You're
can
gonna
say,
save a little
you're
bit
gonna
of
save
money.
money.
Yeah, that's a safe thing
You
to
could-
say, absolutely.
Is that a fair thing if
That's
somebody
why we
asks
did it.
us?
you,
Yeah.
Okay.
you can
I-
easily, you can easily tell somebody what they're gonna save compared to the Duke
Okay,
rate today. The price to compare is what they call that.
okay.
As long as they have the itemized receipts.
So, I don't know about the rest of the
Tell them
people,
before they
I'm
get the
assuming
bill.
I'm speaking for all four of us, my kilowatt usage is, do you get the report from Duke that has the arrows and then the one in the middle, which is mine, that I use more than the
Oh,
average
it's
house?
embarrassing. My
Yeah,
husband
well,
put in a
that's-
hot
it's-
tub and I
yeah,
just don't even wanna
yeah.
look at it.
With everything that we all heat and light and,
Mine's more than 3 times.
yeah,
Oh,
it's a big number, so
I'll
it's,
bring my, it's embarrassing.
yeah.
I'll tell you, my experience is people are just, they're thrilled to see that they're saving something.
I don't care if it's.
It can be a small amount, it can be a huge amount.
I'll take it.
Absolutely.
They're just thrilled that I get a lower rate. Oh, that's great. They just appreciate.
Well,
Well,
that was
saving
my, at the
something.
bottom, that was what I was trying to get at. There's no way, if they go with the
No.
aggregation, it could go up. That was what I was trying to
That's
ask.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the other piece to it, and we all get those mailers from all those different this was an effort to have someone go negotiate on our behalf to take that stuff out, and I don't know if you've noticed this either, but those have gone up since we've started talking about this, since last fall. I have been keeping track of that. I've gotten more of those than I ever have since we started talking about aggregation.
That means the rate's getting more competitive.
Well, and I also would believe that
Gotten any?
the people that want our business is getting more competitive as well. But that's sales and marketing, and I don't wanna cloud your mind with that, Jack, so we'll keep it.
No, I'm looking forward to
Keep
it.
it simple.
If it takes 7 or 8% of my bill.
I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big, I know it, I'm sure it's a big number at all four of our houses.
Okay. Any other discussion on 4804? If nothing else, is there a motion to approve or deny 4804? So moved. To approve.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And we've also had some discussion on 4805. Is there a motion to approve 4805?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Thank you. And anything else under new business administration at this time, Jack?
You wanna do 4806 while we're here?
Yeah, we can. We can move it up into here.
Yeah, we could move it into business.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Can I read that? Oh, I know. It's just a matter of, we need, in the beginning of the year, we get an amended certificate back from the county auditor. Until then, we can't appropriate any money into the special funds until we get those back from the county auditor. We noticed we didn't have any money for our vending machine. So all this does is allow us to appropriate money for the vending machine.
Is there a motion to approve 4806?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Okay, thank you all. And moving on to the police district, nothing on the agenda today, so all quiet on the front. Good show. Fire district, nothing tonight. Okay. Zoning department set a date and time for the zoning commission and board of zoning appeals candidates.
Yes, in November, I recall that we had some issues not having some vacancies filled, decided that we'd wait until this round. You had two individuals who have put their hat in the ring, and had a third who I've talked with, who have not yet received their letter of interest.
Are the
Plus-
two individuals who've thrown the hat in the ring, are they new to the, or are they renewals, or?
They are new to the process. The two individuals from the zoning commission are John Hinkle and Ryan Zering, whose time has come up, and I'm not sure that they're both going to seek reappointment. I've sent out the letters, but not responded back yet, so. You may have those two plus third, I may only have two, I may have one.
Okay.
Don't know where we're gonna stand, but since we now have our meetings at 5:30 instead of having the interviews prior to, wanted to see if we could do it at 6 o'clock as an executive session and go forth. So want to see your availability for the 14th of March to do such a thing.
Fine, maybe 6 o'clock, but if we're not done with the regular meeting, we'll just
Which is
recess, go
supposed-
then
yeah.
and go in. That's fine. Then set the time, fine with me.
And if there's any individuals that you do know that are interested, have them talk with me or get a letter of interest in so we get them scheduled in.
Okay. Would you like to make us to have a motion for?
If I could, sir.
Is there a motion to set executive session to interview candidates for zoning boards at 6 o'clock on March 14th?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Anything else, Jeffrey?
No, sir.
Okay. Road Department, County Engineer's street sweeping initiative.
Yes, sir, if you've read the same letter that I have here, you know pretty much what I know. What we'll do is, we're gonna go out and, we're only gonna do the curb subdivisions, because it'll prevent stuff from getting in the storm sewers. I have those all mapped out, and Jack has a contact that has a street sweeping business, so we'd like to have them come in, we'll have a meeting and see exactly how far this amount will take us to put a program into place, to be no cost to us, so.
Let me add just a little bit to that. The county collects $10 per parcel for the required stormwater permitting stuff, and it happened maybe 15 years ago. Apparently they have maybe some excess in there, and street sweeping is an activity that goes towards those permit items. So they're saying you can spend up to this amount, $11,500 on street sweeping. You get this contract with somebody, send us the bill, we'll pay the bill. And so that's what, they recommend doing curb and gutter areas, because that's where it's most effective and most beneficial.
The residents will love that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is there a motion to authorize the road department to enter into this agreement through Jack? I guess has to probably, is there an agreement, I'm sure?
I don't think so, he
You don't
just
think
said we
so?
send them the bill.
All right,
Sounds like,
well, and you guys work on it, set it up, but we probably have a motion to make sure that they pay up to $11,500. A motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. And impassable for tractor trailer signs.
Yeah, this is for Ridgeville. We've gotten several calls, more recently than not, about, apparently there's, west and the east road, down the road in Lebanon, the semis, GPS trucks are taking them into Ridgeville, and they're pulling in and they can't make the turn, and then they're having to back out on 48. So there isn't a actual sign for that in the mud cove, so what I did was I called Clean and asked them if they had similar incidents somewhere else, and the sign that you have there is the one that they've used in other jurisdictions and places to that nature. In talking to the police chief, it's not enforceable unless we do a resolution or something of that nature, and that's not something we really want to get into at this time. And the sign being white, black, and red does make it regulatory. So what I'd like to do is, I do currently have them up now, as if it creates issues for the police or something, I'll switch them to yellow with all black trim and black writing, and then that just makes them a warning. And then there's no enforcement involved at all, and I don't wanna create issues on the police department for trying to enforce something like that. So, I mean, I don't have them on the alley. If they try to pull in there, there's no name on there anyway, so I do have them at the entrances off of, Lower Springboro Road and then there by the motorcycle shop, so they are up and active right now, so. We'll see how they go to see if we need to make an adjustment or changes to them.
Very good. Anything else from the road department?
Not at this time.
Staff updates?
I have one quick thing. The engineer's changing how we're gonna flow the road resurfacing projects through. Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, where we used to cut a check to the engineer's office, we're now gonna be billed directly by the contractor that gets the project. They're gonna be billing the different entities that are participating. So for the next meeting, and I just got it Friday, so I didn't have time to really absorb it and put something on the agenda, but the next meeting we'll have to pass a resolution like we did with the engineer's office, but talking about going with the contractor and paying the contractor those amounts rather than the engineer.
Will the bid be opened by the engineers or by us?
Yeah, they're gonna do, same thing they always have, it's just the payment of bills will flow differently.
So we'll pay Jurgensen or whomever directly?
Yeah, so which will be better, cause it'll happen as the project goes on.
So we will not pay them up front?
Right, no, they'll have to do the work.
Though, actually, it was a request by the Warren County Auditor's Office to Warren County to do it this way.
Oh, okay.
And then making it a blanket like this, they think it'll save some of the smaller townships that don't do as much resurfacing a little bit money, but for what we spend, we won't really see a significant change to a lower price. And say it's Jurgensen that gets the contract, they're gonna bill at the end of each month. So if it takes them 4 months to do everything, at the end of that month, if they're done with us, we'll get one bill, but if they're only halfway through, we may get one bill 1 month,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
great.
30 days later, we'll get a second bill for the additional amount. So could be one bill, as I was told, it shouldn't be more than 2, so,
It doesn't matter, yeah.
so it could be
But we'll
broken
get a
down
PO
in
in
2
place
bills.
and then just draw it out from the PO, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Sounds great.
I'm gonna assume that we'll probably hear about that at the engineer's dinner next week, so we'll probably
Might take a lot longer.
know more about that after that.
Hey,
so.
it wasn't bad last year.
I missed it.
I know, we were laughing about that. I think Jason said something about you being rude to many this time.
Yes, you were.
Well, that's all right.
Yes, you were.
If I can work that out again.
You do let me know.
Anything else?
I think Sergeant Cornett had something for you.
Please, come right ahead.
Good evening, gentlemen. I would like to invite you all out March the 12th for the Freezing for a Reason. It's that time of year for the polar plunge. And if you guys want to come and participate, here's some flyers. We've had prosecutors and some judges. We've never had a township trustee or a recorder or fiscal officer jump in the water yet, so there's always time.
Sounds like a challenge.
I'll put this up in the office.
Or township administrators for that matter.
I was gonna say, you're the healthiest of the group, I'd say, Jack, so maybe you should represent us.
So, but fundraising's going well, and last year we raised a little over $40,000, so hopefully we can do that again. We had just under 300 participants. We're looking to do a little better this year and raise some more money for Special Olympics. So I know the fire department's got a couple of guys going, and so does the police, so whatever you're able to do. Thank you.
Before you go, I said something to you in private and a couple other people, but my daughter worked on a case with Larry a few weeks ago, and she called me to just say what a great job he did with interviewing a young boy that had some terrible things happen, and she doesn't make compliments just to make compliments. She said you did a great job, and I wanted to acknowledge that.
Thank you very much.
Good job. Thank you, sir. Okay, anything else? Anybody have anything else to bring up to the board? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.